Hello, Project Runway fans. I'm Gold Derby Senior Editor Daniel Montgomery here with my fellow Senior Editor Susan Wloszczyna, and we are here to talk about the 11th episode of Season 17 of Project Runway titled New York City of Dreams. This was another client challenge. There was a sort of a client challenge a few weeks ago with Blame It on Rio, where the designers had to create vacation looks for actress Marina Baccarin. This time, it's an everyday women client challenge where the designers had to create dream dresses for the hardworking women of New York City. And so it was a sanitation worker, an EMT, police officer, school teacher, a ferry deckhand, and I'm missing one. Oh,
the ambulance, the fire,
the EMT.
Yeah.
It'll come to me.
There were six.
It's six. It's like the village people of New York City infrastructure, and so designers had to work with them, find out what they wanted, what they liked, and made looks that celebrated and honored and made them feel wonderful and beautiful and empowered. And most of the designers tried to do that. One of the designers didn't really bother trying to do that, but she wasn't eliminated, and that was Tessa. Instead, let's just get right into Jamal getting eliminated, which surprised me and didn't surprise me. I thought they were going to get rid of Tessa because, it wasn't the... I think Jamal did have the worst look on the runway, but I think he at least made a good faith effort to do the challenge and make his
colors. Okay, so she's white. There was a whole issue about her always using black fabric, which she denied, and we had visual evidence.
And they showed montages of like black dress.
And she asked her client, well, what colors do you like? And she said pink. And then she started bringing up neutrals and gray. How about gray and black? And she's like, oh, I don't know. And yet, she claimed that this is what she wanted to Christian or whoever,
Yeah, I was so I'm watching this happen and I think it's like, okay, you're not that comfortable with pink, which I think is a little silly. Like, you can be minimalist in a color. There are minimalist filmmakers and they don't only make movies in black and white. You can make something simple and elegant and chic in pink. Like, it doesn't have to be, ooh, it's pink, it's too much. It's like, it's a color. There are colors in the world. Some of them look nice. Any of them can look nice if you design it well. And so as soon as the client said, oh, my favorite color is pink, and Tessa's like, well, I usually do like neutrals, and so she threw out black and gray, and then the client was like,
all right, that's exciting. Yeah.
And what made me mad about that especially is that when it was time for the judges' critique, she straight up lied to them.
Yes.
And said, oh no, she told me she wanted black and gray. It's like the first words out of that woman's mouth were pink is my favorite color.
Right.
It's like, and the judges they're gonna find out. They're gonna ask her, or
Well, did you catch what Garrow did, which accused her of stealing his idea with having those separate pieces on the hem that they worked on? I think the second.
Oh yeah, that was Sebastian.
Well, that was Sebastian.
Yeah, okay. They were on a team together, and she gave him credit that week. The Future is Here, for making his own look and then helping her with her own design. And Sebastian won that challenge as a result. And this week, Sebastian's looking at her and going like, oh, it's like, okay, now all of a sudden she needs to change her look and make a dress instead of pants, which he was going to do. The client wanted a short dress, and she's like, how about pants? And I was like, oh my God, Tessa. So then Sebastian looked and said like, yeah, it looks like she's just kind of recreating that thing that I helped make for her in that other challenge. Yeah. And it's not really for this person she's designing for. It's not really even Tessa. It's just kind of she's doing this thing that that Sebastian helped her with last time. And usually I'm a little annoyed when designers say it's like, oh, you're copying me. But I mean, Sebastian didn't come at it like that. It's like, this is my, kind of look that you're stealing. It was more about like, well, why are you doing this for this client? Like, what does your client actually want? And why are you just making this thing?
It was no dream.
No. And it was such a disaster in the end where like Christian Siriano, as they're getting their models ready or the clients ready to walk the runway, Tessa is just slicing stuff clean off of this thing, which is making it more just black. Just taking away any little bit of color there was. I thought those stuff hanging was a little just kind of random and messy, but at least it gave it some color.
Yeah.
So I do think as a look it was better than Jamal's, but I think Jamal was trying harder. I think Jamal
he had the wrong fabric. It was not good for her body type because it bumped up. I mean, he didn't sew it properly either, but I think he doesn't understand fabric. He seems to have trouble with fabric.
Yeah, and I think
he did great with that puffer material because he wore it. He knew how to treat it. But this week with just plain fabric, it's funny, he's been on the show how many weeks and he hasn't learned what will work best for bodies. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like he was asking either Garrow or someone else. It's like, oh, how do you do like a fitted dress or something like that? Just like basically, how does this kind of design work?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he really just doesn't know how to do this one particular thing. And I think it's what the judges were saying. It comes with age. He's 23. He's the youngest in the competition. He made it really far for being the youngest in the competition.
Yeah.
And he ran into a lot of problems over the course of the season from his inexperience. Like he ran out of time twice before and couldn't finish his work. This time also, he didn't really quite finish it.
Well, the most important part of a dress like that, and he knew she wouldn't feel comfortable exposing all her arms because, and I think he even said, oh, I'll do like a cap sleeve or something. But how hard is it to make? Okay, I don't know. I don't sew, but to make some sleeves there, I mean, because he didn't spend a whole lot of time fitting what was done.
No, and as soon as that first, or actually I think it was the last fitting where she's like, oh yeah, it's a little loose up here, and it's like, up here is where that cannot be loose. Right. So she was not going to be comfortable in that at all.
She was squishing her arms and not, be having some of the screen go black.
But I do think, I was surprised that Tessa survived, but I'm also not too surprised because they definitely took previous weeks into account. Yeah. This was the fourth time that Jamal, I think, has had a low score. He won a previous challenge, but he's had a lot of low scores. He's had a lot of inconsistency. He's been really hit and miss. Whereas Tessa, I think, honestly, this was her worst week of the season, just in terms of not only the look she created, but just her entire approach to it.
But, she has her own store. She has her own label, okay? Does she never do a hem? I mean,
does she never do a color?
That too.
Like, I wonder if after it rains, she hides in like her house just until the rainbow goes away because she'll get like a rash if she's exposed to the actual visible spectrum.
Minimal can come in many colors. You don't have to, have black all the time. So.
Yeah. And so as soon as they saved her, I'm like, they gave her the benefit of the doubt because she's done well before. She only had one other low score this entire season, and it was another case of her being too conservative, which was the Elton John week. Although I actually like that Elton John look a lot from her. But I'm telling you, if she sends something neutral down the runway next week, she's gone. It could be the most incredible, impeccable construction of a garment. If it's a neutral color, she's finished. I can't imagine them letting her get away with that again.
How long is Hester going to stay in? Because I have to say, part of the dress looked okay, like the top half. But what were those orange things flopping around that did nothing? It was so unflattering, and they never even mentioned it,
I think I thought her look was okay. The things on the sides, it didn't bother me that much just because they didn't add much.
You don't want, dolphin flippers flapping about in orange. I don't think it was something flattering to the woman.
Yeah.
She's very slim, and it didn't do anything for her.
Yeah. I think if she had been closer to the bottom, like one of the bottom two, the judges would have given her a harder time with it. But Tessa and Jamal were so clearly the bottom two this week that it's like she said, she got off stage like, I'm a soft bottom, which sounds a little dirty.
I know, I love that phrase. But I like, incorporate it in my daily speaking.
Yeah, but it's such a good phrase for it, you know, because that's exactly the way I think of the show, or you know, the Runway results. Yeah. I'm thinking it's like, oh well, you're bottom three, but you're clearly safe.
Right.
A lot of times that's the case. And this was one of those cases where it's like, okay, you're bottom three, but you're clearly safe. So she's like, I think I'm a soft bottom. So she didn't think she was going home. And she was right. And I think the judges were right. I think they're absolutely right. That was a 4th place dress for this challenge, but she was safe. I thought exactly that. I thought they picked the exact right top 3. I thought they picked the exact right bottom 2.
No, it was, I mean, Jamel, to me, probably learned more than Tessa did. And Tessa just thinks she knows what she knows, and that's what she's going to do, and, you know, forget about it.
Tessa is set in her ways. She's not experienced enough to be so set in her ways, because like we talked about, Jamal is 23. He's 23. Tessa's only 27. So she still has room to grow where she can kind of try new things and expand her horizon. So I hope she does next week, because at her best, I've really loved her work. But like, she needs to stop being defensive. She needs to stop throwing other dezigers under the bus by saying like, oh, they use hem tape too. And Jamal's like, that makes you look bad. But she says like, but why? And I was like, you know why.
I mean, you're lazy and you don't want to do it, and you're making an excuse and using others for your excuse.
Yeah, that was the most uncomfortable critique of the season so far, just because she spent half of it lying about what her client wanted. And then she spent other parts of it, you know, arguing about, it's like, oh no, that's finished. Are you talking about that? Because this is finished. And it's like, oh, but you used hem tape, you didn't sew it. It's like, well, they used hem tape. They used it. Like, I mean, she was
in
every direction.
He does it in the back seat of the car.
Yeah, she was deflecting to every other designer and her clients off of herself. It's like, no, I was fine. It's like, no, it was not your week, and it's okay that it wasn't your week. Just kind of own it and accept the criticism and move on. You know.
Now, I want to critique the show a little, because we have 3 more episodes.
I think so.
Yeah. This was 12. So I think it's come a long way. And here's what I liked about this challenge. I liked that they used women in power. I mean, it was I got the whole video game strong woman, but they're still fantasy figures. These were real women. And if you can do what Garrow and Sebastian did for their clients, and even Bishmay, I think it says something that's what you're in the business to do, not to make clothes for your closet, but for their closet. And so I appreciate they found somebody worthy of getting this gift, and also celebrating what they do. And I think in the old Project Runway, I don't know, they got like the mothers of people. It's like for Mother's Day, and they were all sorts of shapes and sizes. And then, of course, everybody made something matronly, and it was not a happy thing. But this, they really got a very diverse group of women, and it's just fun to see what they were doing on the job and all that. And I don't think the old Project Runway would have gone so far there. So I applaud that. Also, I think Christian's getting much better, and they're taking him seriously now.
The only thing he got wrong this week was when he was really worried about the color Bishmay chose, and it turned out great. But that was really his only kind of...
Yeah, well, she wanted red, and it wasn't an obnoxious red. So, I think he did okay by the color, because like the lipstick and everything was working for her, except she couldn't keep her dress up. So, but I must say, Elaine has to go as a judge, because the moment I'm going to talk about is
Yeah,
what.
I was sort of gobsmacked by it too when she said it. I mean, I don't know if it's a dismissible offense. Like I think other judges are out to lunch every once in a while, but I agree with you that she was way off with it. So.
But the whole retro look, which is what the client wanted, it wasn't cheesy. She didn't look like she was going to sock hop.
It didn't look like a costume.
A lovely woman. It was almost Audrey Hepburn worthy, right? To me, that's not such a bad retro if you're looking like that.
And retro, but classic.
Right. And I think that came out of nowhere. And I said, you know what? You're wrong. And when they said Sebastian won, I went, ha, ha. You did not win.
I was worried once, because I thought, I mean, my personal favorite look was Bishmay's blue look for the school teacher. I thought that was elegant, polished, and complex in the right ways without being over the top. I love that look, but I really couldn't fault any of those top three for winning because I thought those top three were rock solid and exactly the right top three. But when Elaine said, like, it's dated to me, I was just like thinking, what do you like? Sebastian fulfilled every request of his client. He did it in a way that was still true to himself. He did it in a way that was retro and princessy, but not costumey, which is the hard. I can't imagine succeeding at that. And he succeeded at that. And just the color was exactly right. The sheen, the sparkle on the dress was exactly right. The bow was exactly right. It could, a big bow is always a dangerous thing on a dress because you look like a big, freaking Christmas present.
Right.
But it was so intelligently used.
It was elegant. It was
elegant, yeah.
At all. But I give props to Garo too, because his lady didn't have a perfect figure. I mean, her thighs were kind of, she wasn't fat. It's just in that portion, she was,
Yeah, she wasn't one of like the
more
bigger models
there. But what he made her look stupendous.
Yeah.
And
it had a reveal, like it didn't reveal on the runway, but it revealed afterwards.
Yeah,
like, she can take this off. I was like, yes.
Yes. So I really, he and Sebastian right now are my favorites. So if either one of them don't win, I'm going to be very mad. And from the preview, I hope Sebastian doesn't run away from
it looked confusing. Like it said, like you're going to create experiential design, and it's like you said about past weeks. It's like you can't even wrap your head around what that challenge is.
I don't even know what that means because I experience things all the time.
Yeah, it sounds
beyond experiencing.
It sounds very vague and abstract, and I'm hoping they explain it more. What I'm hoping is that that's just a fancy way of saying this is an avant-garde challenge because we haven't had one this season. We've had an unconventional materials challenge, but we haven't had avant-garde, and avant-garde is so much fun.
You're scaring me. Okay.
But avant-garde, I think it's a lot of fun. Just when they're given, sort of like with the Elton John challenge, when they're given the opportunity to say, just like extra is what we're looking for. We're looking for bold. We're looking for a little crazy and risky and oddball and off the wall. So the sort of stuff that Garo and Hester would just dream of making, and Tessa would die trying to make something avant-garde because how do you make minimalist avant-garde? But I want an avant-garde challenge, so I'm hoping that's what this is. But it just sounded like they didn't explain it well in the trailer. At least I hope they explain it better next week.
Skin thingies that the horns and the ripples and what. That was avant-garde to me. So. But anyway, I think really Sebastian and Garo, they might be like up there with the best they've had on the show, I think, because they complete their looks. There's rare, last week Garo had a B problem.
Yeah, everyone has, almost everyone has their moments. Like you're on the show long enough, you're almost definitely going to trip up once. Sebastian actually has
like clothes that you would find in the upscale, whatever it is you call it's a studio. They call it the French word atelier or whatever.
Atelier. Come to my atelier. So this is where I sew clothes good. That's what
so clothes.
Stop being fancy.
But I have to say, I think the show. We'll see. Next week might be a challenge for me because if it's something I can't even grasp in my head, and then I don't know how you sew it. But I think it's getting better. It's finding its way of being more what we want, I think, viewing this, and being a little more concrete in what they're supposed to be doing. And I think, for the most part, even Hester, I'll miss her when she's gone. Hopefully she's gone fairly soon.
Honestly, Hester is a little bit like,
mean.
Yeah, Hester is like Tessa for me in the sense that like half the weeks I'm like, you go, that's amazing, go for it,
Yeah.
And other weeks I'm just like, oh, Hester, stop. But actually, I think my top two, I think I'd also put Garrow and Sebastian in my personal top two. I would say after that, Bishme has been the next most consistent.
He's coming on strong. It took him a while to get there, but now he rarely makes a really bad choice.
Yeah, he's only had one bottom 3 week, and that was the week of the Elegance Challenge, where he was doing like 52 too many things, and the dress was basically too many. It was just a mess, and he knew it was a mess. So it's like he was able to take that and kind of redirect. Yeah. But like, while I would love to see a collection from Sebastian, and I would love to see a collection from Garrow, as much as I have loved Bishme's work this season, I think if it were a choice between them, I would rather see a collection from Hester. Because I like knowing her aesthetic. I am so excited for
it
what
would look like the circus came to town.
Go for it. Like I want to see bold. I want to see experimental. I want to see her be her in an entire collection. I think that would be, even if I hated it, it would be one of the most interesting collections we'd see. And I would feel bad if we don't get to see a Hester collection at the end of the season. I wouldn't necessarily feel that same way about Bishme or Tessa at this point, where it's like, ooh, I'm really excited to see what they do in 8 or 10 looks.
Right.
The other 3, I am really excited to see what they would do for that many looks. And Tessa's great on her best weeks. I feel like we've seen what she does, though. Like I don't know how much more there is she can show us unless she's willing to actually
if you
expand her horizons.
Tulle, outfits in garish colors, you might just get your wish.
I mean, she can. Honestly, I think she should stay away from the Tulle for her own good, because not just for the quality of Tulle, but for her inability to use it effectively. Like both, and even Chief has felt that she was not getting what she wanted out of those designs the week where she went crazy at Tulle. So just like no Tulle, just like go crazy, but no Tulle and no pasties. Those are your only rules. Your only rules, Hester. Avoid Tulle and no more pasties, and then you're golden. Give us beyond that, the world is your oyster. Show us what you got.
Yeah. Okay. So, by the way, just
free to disagree.
No, it's fine. We'll see how it turns out. But you can go to 19th Amendment and buy those T-shirts from last week for $35.
That's not reasonable for a T-shirt, but reasonable for like a charity T-shirt. That's something I'd consider.
Yeah, there you go. So if people want it, they're there. And I think they keep them, it's by demand, I think. So it's not
like they make them as you think.
Yeah. So just saying, there's something cheap that says you watch Project Runway other than, $300, gowns and jackets. So, well, okay.
Well, shop away, Project Runway fans, and thank you for watching us discuss this week's episode, and thank you, Susan, for joining me. Feel free, if you like this video, or even if you didn't, click like below. You can also subscribe to Gold Derby videos. We not only have these recaps, we have interviews with the season's Emmy contenders all season. We have over 100 already for this spring. And if you want to predict Project Runway because you think we're dead wrong, or you think who's going to be eliminated next, or who you think will win the whole season, you can go to goldderby.com and make your predictions there. Every single week, we have a new predictions center for every single episode. So go there, have a ball, and we will see you next week.